Hey, Rockin' Larry Locken, what's up? Hey, the Larry and Callie Show, a spinoff of Opinion But Facts with Kenny Jackson. Hey, I had a couple issues I wanted to vent on tonight. First of all, I'd like to talk about this joke of a group called QAnon. Gotta do something here real quick. Bear with me for a second. Bear with me. Okay. Well, this group QAnon turns out, and this is a good source that I got this from Randy Rhodes. Randy Rhodes is a good source. She's 100% on the money most of the time. And according to this, it's a scam. QAnon's a scam. It's a PayPal Patreon scam run by, I didn't get the husband's name, but the wife's name is Tracy Diaz. And apparently she's out of South Africa. So stay tuned for more on that. I figured so. The CIA is pretty tight-lipped. You're not going to get a lot out of them as far as this kind of shit would go. I mean, I can't see, because the problem is the CIA is so tight of an organization that it would be really, really, really hard not to be caught doing that. You know how they watch you and shit and keep an eye over you, of course, like they did Edward Snowden. But, Snowden's, I have a different take on Snowden than most people. My thing is they should leave him alone and they should let him back in the country and all that. And he didn't do nothing wrong. But really, he wasn't revealing anything that anybody, and that's how low the consciousness was kind of at that point still, even like a decade ago. I mean, I realized that as a kid in the 80s that they had shit like that, what he was talking about. I mean, it ain't paranoid to freak people. I'm not being paranoid to try to freak people out because it doesn't paranoid me. But I don't really like the idea of it. But they've got technology, I'm sure, from the sky if they wanted to hone right into your house, form like an infrared camera, and see what's going on. So, I mean, no big deal. They've had that shit for years. But, it just, yeah, I don't know. This shit drives me crazy. I mean, people fall for this shit. Like, they're so into this doom and gloom, and now you wonder what Alex Jones is going to do. Is he going to get his own website and try to get a bigger platform? And, I don't know. Fuck him, though. You know what? He doesn't count as far as I'm concerned. He's a loser and an idiot and not a very nice human being for the shit that he's said and done. He's done some kind of unforgivable things that kind of piss me off. Omarosa and Trump. Omarosa, kudos to, I can't stand Omarosa. There's no bigger Omarosa hater than me. Well, there is, and I'm not a hater. I don't like using that word, but I mean, I can't stand her. I couldn't stand more that other girl, Katrina Pearson, that worked for Trump during the campaign. I couldn't stand her more than Omarosa, actually. But anyway, I can't stand Omarosa, but kudos to her for taping that conversation and then taping the one with Trump, and who knows what else she's got. You can't. She's one of those people too that's just shady character and playing this game that Trump taught her very well over the years how to play. And she's trying to like play the other side now. And if she's got, hey, she had her iPod on her all the time. Can you imagine what she could have taped? Trump is getting, I mean, those tapes, maybe Cohen's tapes. Something's going to break at one point, which kind of is scary because Trump is the kind of person that would imprison his political opponents if he could. He really is. He is crazy. He's crazy like these right-wing nuts that buy into it. I heard some preacher today on a show I was listening to. Well, I mean, it was an analysis they were doing on him. I wasn't listening to this guy on purpose. Brian Swanson or something like that. But apparently the reason that California is burning to the ground is because of all the gayness that they brought to the country and all the all the abortions that they've done, and now they're paying the price for it and all that. Well, what about all those hurricanes in Louisiana and Florida and Alabama, Mississippi? What are those? Is that them being paid back for how how they've treated the world, or how they've treated like minorities and other people? Is that it? Well, Trump, this is the problem. If it were in the South, Trump would go down there. If it were in Texas, he would go down there. But Oregon, Washington, California, he don't give. I mean, there's no reason. It's so solidly blue. It's an unbreakable blue wall right now. I mean, it's so solid, it'd take a generation to break it, of people from Mississippi and Arkansas and Oklahoma moving up here. Which I'm not, saying a couple of them couldn't, but try to be a little bit enlightened. But so he don't care about those fires. But anyway, this preacher was saying that, oh, it's God's way of punishing for all the abortion and homosexuality that goes on in California. Obviously referencing San Francisco and hippie days, and well, down in LA is where it's at, but like LA, LA sinful, Hollywood, that's where Hollywood's at, and all those stars are getting the fate they deserve, or I don't know, but this is how people think, and they're on AM radio stations during the day in parts of the country and talk about this shit and put it in people's minds, and they've been doing it for decades now. And the older people still listen to it, while we've moved on to other shit, like, something on YouTube or something on, iTunes or what the fuck ever. But, these people still listen to AM radio, and AM radio has a little bit of liberal stuff, like a few liberal shows on there, about a handful. But that's it. And it doesn't even matter with them, because they're like a half hour of commercials too. So if you're into any of those shows, and just watch the podcast of it afterward or whatever. But Omarosa taping John Kelly. And why was John Brennan brought up a good point. Why did he fire her in the Situation Room instead of in his office? That was kind of bizarre. And then the whole thing was really weird how he talked to her. I don't know. You know what? It was so strange that for a second, I almost went Alex Jones and thought that the two of them were set. The two of them were in on it together. It was just so weird how he put it, that you could be in legal trouble, but we're not going to. I mean, you wouldn't say nothing. The whole thing was a very weird conversation. And then Trump's, oh, I'm so sorry to see you go, and calling her a dog. Then calling her a dog, which is his word for, what, because she's black. I mean, this guy is a fucking racist, people. This guy is a fucking racist. Honestly. I mean, I'm tired. I know people get tired of me ranting and raving about that, but this guy is a fucking racist, okay? Listen to how he puts black people down. Maxine Waters' IQ is only in his 60s. LeBron and Don Lemon. Don Lemon's the dumbest broadcaster ever. It's not that he don't take shots at other people, but when it comes to African Americans, there's a racial tone in there, and he just comes close to the line of saying that word. And they claim maybe there's these tapes, okay, that they have right of him saying it. I don't, to be honest, if it exists, and depending on if it's a one-time saying it. I mean, it isn't gonna, his 30% tight base, and and then he's got about another 8-9% that's flexible, but his 30% solid base isn't gonna care. They'll love it. I mean, really, most of them. I mean, they might tell you that they don't, and it's wrong, but it was it was a long time ago. They'll use the same excuse for any of the other shit. Perfect excuse. It was before the election. He's a different man now. He's turned to the Lord. Oh, yes, and you'll have all these pastors coming out like Daryl Scott and Mark Burns, and oh, he's found the Lord now, and he's, you know, just like with everything else, he's found the Lord, and they're praying for him, and, you know, he hasn't been like that since he's been president. So, unfucking believable, man. And then, you know, you talk about going after political opponents, and look, let me start by saying this. It's one before I get into Trump fucking stripping former CIA director John Brennan of all of his top security clearance. I'm not, historically, I'm not the biggest CIA, FBI fan, okay, NSA. I'm not, you know, I mean, of course, I'm not fans particularly of organizations like that and policing organizations. But, you know, this is just a matter here of going after a political opponent, is all it is, period. I mean, Brennan served honorably as CIA director, and then, of course, in positions under that through 6 presidents. So, you know, that's, you know, and we've gone into the reason why they still keep their clearance when they retire, because in case they need a mentor, in case their expertise is needed. I mean, they're free to go on talk shows, but they don't, you know, they're very tight-lipped and especially the ex-CIA ones. Yeah, I prefer listening to the ex-FBI guys because they can talk a little more, and, you know, they're more hip to, they're kind of, you know, more hip to the street game too. The CIA is just real, you know, close, tight-lipped, like, you know, and the corruption, I'm sure, is sickening. It has happened in all those organizations over the years. But the thing about it is Donald Trump is a fucking fascist and a racist, okay? Let's just fucking lay it on the line. How could you judge it any other way? Look at the shit that he has said, calling African countries shithole countries. You know, like I said, Don Lemon and LeBron are dumb. Making fun of handicapped people. You know, and who knows? I mean, the N-word thing at this point, if they've got him on tape saying a bunch of it, now Miller could subpoena that, but I don't know. That doesn't have any, no, he wouldn't. That doesn't have any relevance in his case, whether Trump said the N-word or not on it. Unfortunately, that's too bad because Miller could get access to that in a minute. But yeah, there's nothing. It's just sickening and racist and disgusting. But yeah, there's nothing illegal about it, unless they could find another reason maybe why they needed to take a look at those tapes. But so, you know, I mean, this guy is lucky. This guy has skated through, man, a lot of bullshit in life. Wow, he just lives in his own reality. It's fucking crazy and fucked up. And taking away Brennan, and like I said, I'm not a fucking fan of all those organizations, but I believe in the core of like the FBI, and I believe in the core of things like that when good people are running them. You know, when we have a good Department of Justice someday, we'll have a multi-city investigation into police brutality and how police officers are trained, and maybe we'll rethink the way we train our police officers. You know, then the problem is you still got the old ones that'll wear off on the young ones, but it can be done. You know, different kinds of mind people can be recruited to go into it, and, you know, maybe make them have a couple, you know, pay for them, but make them take a couple years of college before they, you know, come onto the job, things of that nature. But yeah, I can't believe this fucking shit too. Also, I heard 2 of my favorite racist people on Fox News, Maria Bartiromo, or I can't even pronounce the woman's name, but she's disgusting, and Stuart Varney. I wish you could get the Varney. But, you know, they were making the case this morning, or it was the other morning, that the NFL players, which I don't think any of them should be fucking playing. They ought to revolt and start their own league. But yeah, I know they got the new deal coming up in 2 years, but just for some having their hands in the air or not wanting to come out in the locker room or not wanting to do that, they're agreeing with Trump that they ought to be fired and all this bullshit. And Trump's all, look, fellas, you make a lot of money. Why not fuck? So does that mean sell out? Does that mean that if you make enough money, hey, go ahead and sell out? When that whole fucking thing, it was a marketing deal the military signed with the goddamn NFL in a decade or more ago in the early 2000s or not mid 2000s, okay? A marketing deal, and before that, players didn't even come out till the national anthem was over or ending. They started, would run out as it was ending. Okay, so there we go again, the hypocrisy of it all. And Trump's just playing his thing. Plus, he's pissy because he could never own a team. We've been over that before. He did, and I've said it before. He did win. He had a league called the USFL from '83 to '85. It went went bankrupt. He sued the NFL. He actually won this lawsuit, if you can believe it. He won a lawsuit. Trump won $1 from the NFL in 1986. Yeah, the judge awarded him $1, and I remember it being covered and shit like that, and even like on the CFL games I'd be watching if I'd be homesick from school, watching the CFL game. Back then on ESPN in the '80s, they would break in and talk about it, the lawsuit. But that's just the way it goes. And Omarosa, so basically, it's put up or shut up. Does she have it? She made the claim that he knew about the WikiLeaks stunt before it was going to happen. And when you say something like that, now she better have the evidence, or probably it'll, she'll drag it out like she's letting, giving it to Mueller or something like that, because they're going to want to talk to her again. And so we'll see where this thing goes. The election coming up, it's not too long. But Trump is, he's an obvious racist. He's a hate baiter. It's a fascism. They want a complete corporate type control with no regulations. Fuck the people. You know what I mean? Cut every program that there is. And this is how Republicans have always been. And that's all they do. That's all their accomplishments ever are, is these big fucking tax cuts that every time one of them's in, we end up getting. I don't know why America can't get their head out of their ass and vote for have a sustainable liberal progressive president, a liberal progressive Senate, and a liberal progressive fucking House. God damn it. I mean, we need it. We need all this shit that they stand for. Yeah, people say, well, they don't get shit done. They haven't. Well, yeah, because they've been up against an opposition, one, and, two, a lot of the older ones, yeah, sell out a little bit. But the basic core of it is, right, is fucking helping people and putting Wi-Fi. I mean, putting Wi-Fi everywhere for free, doing shit like that Hillary wanted to do, even, and that, Bernie would want to do. And, we've got the money and the economics for all this shit. Okay? It's just, even if we had to tax everybody 10% higher, 10 to 15%, if you were like really made really good money, 15% higher, but it meant free college, siphon, free, as long as you kept your grades up, free medical care, free medicine, okay, a living, maybe a little bit of a small living wage, okay, like some countries do. We have the ability to do this if we get out of a greed mode and get off of things like oil and use that kind of shit. Use those oil, clean those oil pipes out, man, good, and use them to sell any water all over the world. But I think I've ranted enough on that. This was just, Sandy Walden said it really good. It was just a distraction as far as this shit with, but John Brennan today, distracting from the Omarosa thing, and now, who knows, that could be dead, But also, I want to just repeat what I said at the top about QAnon. Turns out it's just a husband and wife. It was a PayPal Pantheon scam. And the woman's name is, I don't have the husband's name. The woman's name is Teresa Diaz, and she's out of South Africa, or that's where this is traced to, or whatever. So that's all I know, but my source is really, really good for it. So anyway, I wish everybody much love and peace, and have a good night.